Hello, friends. It is Tuesday, June 27th, almost 28th. It is almost midnight. 2017. Well, how about that? How about that? This year, that's only going to happen once. You're never getting back is almost half over. You know, during December, you sort of sit there and you think about the new year, and man, it's, finally get to it, finally gonna change your life or whatever it is, right? Well, and then sometime before the summer, you're thinking about the summer, right? You're gonna get in shape, or you're gonna do this and you're gonna do that, and summer just blows on by, and all you ever did was sort of just sit in your room and play video games or whatever it is that you did, right? And on it goes. Sort of chat a little with a coworker. I was like, holy shit, man. It's almost July. Almost July, isn't it? Did my cardio today. Strength training on Monday. It's strength training again tomorrow. Try alternating those, but gotta say, God, I fucking hate cardio. Just if it was walking or something, but yeah, the being on a machine, it just, but I suppose it has to be done, isn't it? So, this is sort of the advice video. Which way virgin man? Advice for a 20-year-old virgin. I forgot. I apologize. The user who asked that, and I don't know what context they meant it in. Now, obviously, if you're familiar with me, by an advice video, this is not, oh, I did all this stuff and changed my life, and you can too. Here's what you do. This is coming to it in the don't do what I did type of context. So that's where it's coming from. And I'm going to assume, sorry, I'm kind of sleepy because I kept trying to film the video during the day, and it is really hot out. So it's tough to find somewhere with shade that's like actually free that somebody hasn't taken. What else? So just waiting until the evening, but now of course I'm yawning all over the damn place. So like I said, this is a don't do what I did. And also in the context of being a 20-year-old virgin is a symptom of something else, that the real issue is being a forever alone, whatever that ultimately is. But sort of hard to put into words, but they're sort of why people identify with a meme, right? And why it can be very descriptive of people. So, if all you care about is in fact the virginity part, well, even I know that's easy to solve. I mean, what is it? You can find an escort. Sure, if you wanted to, you could probably put up an ad on Craigslist about, hey, you're a so-and-so, put a picture up, you want to lose your virginity. I'm willing to bet, you give it some time, you'll probably find somebody. So, if that's all it is, I'm sorry. So that's where it's going to go from. Don't do what I did. Virginity is probably just a symptom of being a forever alone person, and I guess if anything, maybe this is sort of ultimately a kind of advice to a 20-year-old Georgie boy. So I was thinking about that for some time. So, from a bird's eye view, if I could create a list of things that we can unpack and explore a little bit, I would say don't ignore your health like I did. Be very, very careful of your escapism. Don't, and maybe this is sort of part 2 to the be careful with your escapism. Don't form an identity around your vices. I'm willing to bet, that's not something you actually get. You hear talked about a lot. In fact, maybe this is the first time you're hearing anybody say something like that. Don't form an identity around your vices. And I mean, I'm sure it's not patting myself on the back. I'm sure it's been talked about in different ways, but be very cognizant of the influence that you're pulled in by the people around you. We'll go into that. And I guess the last thing is something to work. That's probably the most important one too. Something to work towards with your life. Something meaningful. Which, for me, is the biggest issue and the hardest one to, or maybe it's just the courage to face it, or so. It's whatever. So first one, don't take your health for granted. If you are a forever alone and you don't feel great and you're depressed and all that jazz, you're probably not very active physically, and you don't eat the best of foods. And when you're younger, you can get away with it, but as you get older, you're not that invincible anymore, and it will all catch up to you. Especially pay attention to your sort of your relationship with food, because I think carbohydrates do release serotonin or something like that. So I don't know exactly how it works, but and it is I mean, there's kind of a reason why you see, and you've done it yourself too, I'm sure, where you're depressed and why you grab a bag of chips or a bucket of ice cream, stuff like that. So release those feel good things. You know, I am an emotional eater. I eat because, you know, you kind of know it releases certain it gives you a certain emotion when you eat it. And that's a state that you want to get to, and the food becomes a path to that. So you know, and obviously the laying around, the sitting around, and this and that, you know, your body eventually, you know, starts to deteriorate, and it's not that fun. Where it's like, oh, you used to be able to sit down a bunch and whatever, and now it's like, oh shit, your back just randomly starts to hurt for like long periods of time, and just like, it's stuff like that, all very obvious, right? But you know, so don't take your health for granted. Does that mean you need to become a bodybuilder, marathon runner, blah blah blah? Not necessarily, but don't, you know, it all goes together, a fit mind and a fit body. And I am paying for ignoring that, so don't do that. I mean, it's all kind of obvious. Number 2, be very careful with your escapism, whatever that is for you. Maybe it's video games. It was video games for me for a long time, and to this day it's still hard to break free. It's, you know, there's no achievement for the modern person, especially maybe the modern sort of male, is what you come home from work or school, you play some RPG or some other shit, and there you go, you solved the quest, you leveled up your character, and there's your sort of accomplishments, right? Nothing real, but you know, you're sort of living this shadow life. Instead of real journeys, real quests, or real self-improvement, you do it in the virtual world. You know, maybe you can do it in moderation. It doesn't really affect you, but if you know you have a problem, you probably do. If you're using it to escape from the world and all this and that, oh, there's nothing. Eventually it catches up to you. Maybe, you know, it takes a while, but you will eventually wake up years later, out of shape, feeling like shit. You know, all the quests you did and characters you leveled up and the world you saved, none of that means shit, man. None of that means shit. You got a release of chemicals, but none of that means shit, man. And maybe it's something different for you. You know, maybe, I don't know, there's lots of shit that you can be into to escape from the world. It could even be reading. You know, reading is sort of one of those snob hobbies where, it's so good for you. Oh, it's good for your brain. You see these people just, they create their book lists, and they're really proud of how many books they've read, and it's all just complete bullshit. You know what I mean? It's just, they're not even necessarily learning anything. It's just, this fiction, that fiction, blah, 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 blah. It's just, it's another escape for these people. That's all it really is. But it's one that's sort of socially acceptable, that you can sort of, oh, look at me, how smart I am and how much I read. It's like, all right, well, okay. What can you do with any of that so-called whatever you've learned, or like, just, all right, so you read all these whatever fucking books, like, okay. It's just escape in another form, so be very careful with that too. Read that series, read this, like, fucking who cares? I want to slay some real fucking goblins, not not read about it in a goddamn novel. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with reading, but once again, it's, it takes old Georgie boy to bring it to you. It doesn't get talked about a lot, where, like I said, it's reading is a socially acceptable escapist hobby, especially if you're reading sort of for pleasure, not learning anything. It's like, maybe it's just working in a library, folks. You sort of realize just how much fucking garbage there is out there. Absolute, complete fucking garbage. Oh, these are all books. Like, oh, fucking, man, motherfucker, this shit sucks. It's all completely pointless. They figured out the formula. They're essentially like almost produced at this point, rather than, oh, I'm gonna sit down and write this nice. It's just, what kink, what interest, whatever you like romance, or you like cozy mystery. That's all that shit is. So yeah, whatever it is for you, be very careful. If you think you can handle in moderation, I guess do it, but if you can honestly say to yourself, you got a problem, you definitely do. You might feel like you're escaping, like I said, but believe me, it's going to eventually catch up to you. So, I guess the third thing, don't form an identity out of your vices. And this takes different extremes and such like that. But maybe this is a part of your escapism. Well, I'm a gamer and a nerd, and I like Star Wars, and I collect comic books and posters on my walls, and these toys, and I like craft. I'm a beer aficionado, and you like fantasy football. Like, God, man, none of that shit fucking means anything, dude. Well, it's just a hobby that you enjoy. It's fucking bullshit, man. It is bullshit. You watch some of this stuff. I mean, there's going to be a lot of talk of video games here. Mostly, like I said, because that's been my kind of issue, but I'm sure it can take different forms. No offense, Leslie Chang, if you're watching this, because I know you said you wanted to make video games. So, but let's be honest. They can be very detrimental, especially to people like us, forever alones, who you use it as escapism. So it can be a vice. It very much can be a vice. You watch some of these videos where it's like, oh, this person, really loves to collect old JRPGs and this and that. It's like, you kind of just look at them and it's really sad. It's really sad. Not that, I don't think I'm better per se, but when you can see your own, the same shit you've done in other people, and when you've sort of woken up from it and you just realize, God, this, it's really sad what people do, but it's understandable after all. In our modern globalist world, where everything is being destroyed, and identity and culture and tradition and this or that, everything is being torn down. You're being turned into a literal consumer and producer. I mean, people try to find something. People try to find something to build an identity out of, but no. Don't do it. Like I said, eventually you're gonna have a day, maybe sooner, maybe later in life, and the more you're dishonest with yourself that it's, oh no, this is what I actually want, the more it's gonna hurt when you sort of wake up, look around, and you're just surrounded by fucking toys and video games, whatever bullshit, and it's like, this is all complete bullshit. So, don't form an identity out of your vices. It's all, as George Carlin said, it's all bullshit and it's bad for you. So we got that. I guess number 4 was be cognizant of how, the sphere of influence that you fall into of the people around you. There's sort of a reason why if you listen to like motivational speakers and stuff like that, and they tell you, oh, you need to get the losers out of your life, and surround yourself with people who are driven and stuff like that. It's not always. I mean, what are you going to say? Like, fuck you, mom and dad. You're not entrepreneurs, so I don't want to be around you. I don't mean that, but if you're not already there, you're going to, later on in life when you're working and this or that, you talk to people, it's like, oh, how are you? Oh, good, same old, same old. It's just, and that's what you hear from everybody. You're already just stuck doing the same shit over and over, and this is all you hear about from other people, everybody, and so you're just in that sphere of influence. And I love my parents, and I'm not signaling or shitting on them, but I sort of fell into my dad, we had I don't know if it was this year or last year, we had some holiday dinner, whatever, and I don't know how we got on the subject, but he mentioned, your biggest problem with you, George, is that you are lazy. But he followed it up with, he understood because that's exactly how he was. So that's sort of what I fell under the influence, or that's what he showed that, they know what's wrong with you, but they also have that guilt, and that they sort of realize that they contributed to it, and that it was just, you just go to school, go to work, not really, push you towards anything. What do you want to do? Have you thought about this or that? Maybe you should it was just sort of very, I don't know. And you didn't see them very driven and motivated and anything either. And I turned into my fucking dad. It's, when he's not at work, he's just on the couch laying on the bed, browsing Facebook, watching fishing videos and stuff like that. And I think deep down, I mean, he told it to me during the one dinner. He knows, this is the image that he showed. Showed, and that's basically what I fucking turned into. So, and so that's what it becomes. Maybe the people around you. I think. Now, I'm not going to say, God, I wish my parents would this or that. It is what it is, and I'm grateful for how it is, because it could be a lot worse. But, let's be honest, if my mom and dad were more driven and something, I probably would be too. And instead, what is it? What's the example that I was shown? Well, you just go to a fucking job, and eventually you grow to hate it, but you just go there and you come home and you blow off steam somehow, watch your TV or whatever, and then go to bed and get up in the morning and do it over again. So it's very easy to fall into that energy. So I guess the last and final thing here before the light probably goes out, the biggest, most important question, the one that has bothered me for a very long time, is definitely and this is something, the sooner you think about it, the sooner you figure it out, or at the very least, all else fails, something that you just have to decide and pick. What are you going to work towards in life? And the sooner you can get that solved, the better, because like with everything else, the longer you wait, the harder it's going to be to break out of old habits and the like. And, this isn't necessarily some, you need to quit your job and pursue your passion. What's important to you? What would you like to do, really? What would be important to work towards? If you've only got one life, what would be important to work towards? To feel like it would matter, to feel like you actually lived, that you actually did something in life. Here's a suggestion. What better goal than to work against fighting the globalists? The globalists, however it's a big question how you do that, but just, if you're looking for a suggestion. But yeah, something meaningful, something truly meaningful, folks. And that can only be answered by you. Can only be answered by you. It's like the book I've talked about. It's like the book I talked about. I know back on the old channel, brought this up several times. And of course, it's sort of ironic to say that you brought a lot of shit back up. Like, yeah, I know. The book that I had on anxiety that talked about, the phobia and anxiety workbook or something. And, all this shit that you can do and blah, blah, blah. It's just sort of funny that at the end it talked about, if people can find something meaningful to do in life, it's sort of all these little nagging problems seemingly just go away. Like I said, that's the one thing that's been truly bothering me. Is it because I don't know, or because just too scared to admit and too lazy, right? So if I had to have any advice, that would be it, I suppose. But I don't know. I don't know if any of it was applicable. Oh, I turned in to watch a video of like what tips and whatever, not this weird fat philosophy blah 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 bullshit. Guess if I had to add anything at the end, if there is anything that gives you anxiety, obviously, the more you ignore it, it's not really gonna go away, right? You know, for me, talking to people was an issue, and driving a car, and you know, what you ignore sort of persists, so keep that in mind. Oh, I have anxiety for this and for that, well, so I'm not going to do it because it gives me anxiety. Well, guess what? It's going to continue to give you anxiety because of it, so. And that's it. I guess that's it. Not even really sure what else to say. Kind of just legitimately, that's why uploads have come down to a complete standstill. Crawl. Small drip feed. Just doesn't feel like there's really anything to say at the moment. Got a vacation coming up in August. Not going anywhere. Don't really fucking want to. Well, like I said, hopefully, well, maybe I was completely off point, and it's all just complete bullshit. I don't know. I don't know. But the sooner, suppose you can get. See, ultimately, all of this is all great, but without action, none of it really means anything. Because, you know, I think deep down we all know what we need to do and what bothers us, but if you don't do anything, it doesn't really matter. But like I said, the sooner you can sort of deal with it, the better. The older you get, the harder it's going to be to break habits and to just sort of break out of your loop or whatever it is. On that note, folks, it's probably about time to head home. Because I'm sure at this point, noon. Actual noon. Yeah. I want to thank you for joining me. Thank you for watching. And I'll see you guys some other time. And I wish you luck. Whether you're the original asker of the question or you sort of watched this and oh, sorry, felt that sort of elbow, whatever thing. Maybe you watched it and you actually got something out of it. Maybe I was able to actually say something that was of value to somebody. Bye-bye.